You guys want to go?
Yeah, I'm Chris.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Alex.
I'm Gene.
I'm Mallory.
We're doing a collaborative show today, a recap show of everything that happened in 2020 in martial arts, and we are doing it with sportmartialarts.com, the OGs of all of this internet stuff that we got going on. And with this, we got Mallory Woods. What's up, Mallory?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me. This is cool because I'm on the other side. I don't have control of nothing, and it's great to be hanging here with the Main gang. So here is a recap between Main and SMA style. So thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate
All right, so
Awesome.
because we're on here, I always start with music. So
Here we go.
we're gonna have some little music.
Look at all the things you've done to me, causing all the stress and anxiety. All year you just been so rude, and you wondering why I got an attitude.
Goodbye, 2020.
2020.
Yes, we get out of there. We're into 2021.
What you do wrong, you really got to ask. Take a look around, everybody wearing a mask. Poverty, crime, racism, systemic. Stop playing with me with this damn pandemic. Goodbye.
Right. Damn pandemic. All right. Goodbye, 2020. We're out of here. We're into 2021. We're going to be doing, hopefully, we'll be doing a lot better than we did in 2020.
Yes,
Fingers
sir.
crossed. A lot has happened. I mean, it feels like a long time since 2020 started, but it's only been 12 months, 367 days, whatever you want to call it. How are you guys doing? How do you guys feel? Did you guys go out and celebrate when 2021 happened? Did y'all shoot some fireworks? Did y'all shoot guns? Did y'all do some acts with your loved ones to celebrate that you're not 2020 anymore? What did you guys do?
I didn't
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
I don't do amateur hour. That's how I always call New Year's Eve. I call it amateur hour because, hey, there's only so many times you can make bad decisions over and over again before you change.
That's true. That's 100%.
I've had plenty of them.
Yeah. No.
Jeff, what did you do?
Let's see. New Year's Eve, I actually had classes, so I was probably one of the few that I just said, hey, we're gonna do that, and we sparred, and that was fun. And then got food and went back and we watched Star Wars. And that was about it. So yeah.
What's Star Wars?
So
Uh-oh.
my girlfriend wants to get back and watch all of them again,
Mhm.
and so we went all the way back to watch I think that day, I don't know. We've watched so many different ones, but I think she watched the original one that night, and then we kind of went back and watched all the other
What
ones.
order are you going? Are you going the original ones that they came out, or are you going
No.
4, 5, 6. A new hope.
Yeah. We watched that one first, and then she's like, you know what? I'm going to go back in the order that it
it's supposed to
goes
happen?
in the story. And
In
so,
chronological order.
yeah, chronological order. So we went back and then watched, what was that?
Episode 1,
2.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Phantom Menace, which is,
I hate Phantom Menace.
So last night we watched the Attack of the Clones, and that one, man, that one's so going back and watching it,
Mhm.
it's really in depth. There's so much to absorb in there. Trying to explain all the stuff because I've watched every single episode of Clone Wars and Rebels and everything, and trying to explain that to someone who hasn't watched any of that, I got stressed out. So, so I'm sure that she did too.
Well, so
I'm
you
the only
said
one who doesn't get into that. I don't get into it at all.
I know we had a discussion about this.
Yes, Alex, you're
I'm
too
the only
cool
one.
for it. Hey, Chris, what did you do for seems like you probably trained.
Yeah, we worked out. We did the same thing. We sparred. My people wanted to be here, so I was like, let's go. Got done and went home and got Chinese food and watched a movie. I don't even know what movie we watched, and I was asleep before midnight. So it was good. It was good money, man. I had a great time.
That's right.
Gene?
Actually, it's kind of perfect that I should have followed up behind Jeff because I actually watched Star Wars also, but I watched the Clone Wars. That's what I did. Actually, before I watched that, I actually was watching Fred Claus. So during the holiday season, I have my holiday movies I like to watch. So I watched Fred Claus, and then after that went off, I turned on some cartoons and I watched Star Wars, Clone Wars. Me and my girl, we take turns. So every other New Year, she spends either with me or with her kids. So since she was with me last New Year's Eve, so she was with her kids this year. So I was here solo. So I had some drinks, I had some cartoons, and I was good.
That's it, man. That's the life.
You're going to be very disappointed. I was actually working on a server I have here. It took me 5 hours to get it working. 20 minutes before 2021 dropped, I got it working. I said, "That's it, I'm done," and went promptly to bed. So that was my night.
Wait, you worked all the way up to the 20 minutes and said, "All right, you know what? I'm not gonna stay this last 20 minutes just to see 2021. I'm going to sleep."
I pretty much was like, I guess I could stay up, and then people were shooting off fireworks and or guns around here, and my dog was going crazy. So close the door, everybody shut up, and turned on Impractical Jokers. So there you go. That was my night.
I don't get the fireworks thing. What is it? Like my dog is now traumatized for like another week.
I don't
fireworks. I don't understand.
I can take the fireworks. I don't get the gunshots. That's what I don't get. Like I don't get the gunshots thing.
I don't.
Ammo is
Those
expensive.
come down.
It has. It's going up. It's going up a lot. And so, but it comes and the bullets come up and they got to come back down somewhere. So I don't understand the whole point of the shooting off. But whatever. All right. So let's get into the recap before we want to start. Let's start at the beginning of the year. Chris, what you doing over there?
The karate. We was going to recap. We will recap some karate, right?
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about in 2020.
We sure do. Yeah.
But I did want to start off by acknowledging, because when we started off 2020 in the martial arts world with a loss, we lost Steve Nasty Anderson at the beginning of the year. Who was very influential in our sport, a huge presence, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. But it's just that one just hit, and it was at the AKAs when everyone found out. So it was just kind of like, what just happened? That Saturday, I think that Saturday morning, Terry Creamer did a form,
yes,
and a T-shirt, that had Nasty on it. And the thing was, he didn't. It wasn't like he had it made that night. He just had brought it that weekend just to rock it or whatever. But so that was a real emotional time, because I think it was only a couple months after KA law. We lost KA, so back to back, and then being there with my uncle, being there, he was really close with Nasty and everything. It was just, you see the pain, and you see Terry, because Terry was like tearing up when he was doing the form. So it was a real emotional time. We just so happened to be there. Chris and I and Alex had just so happened to be there that weekend. And it was just like, wow. All right. When you guys heard about that just kind of just stuck the beginning of the year. That kind of just like set the tone for the year. It's kind of like, this is
oh man,
this not gonna be the crazy.
This is a rough one already.
Right.
Yeah. We didn't think it was going to, but yeah, it did.
Yeah. We didn't understand the impact of that, but he was like, I ain't dealing with 2020. I'm out of here. Y'all can have this crap. But so how did you guys hear about it, and how did you guys, your thoughts on it?
I guess Facebook, like most people, hearing about that. And I know for me, it was looking at Ben. I knew Ben Stewart was probably one of the closest to him as a student. And so seeing what he put out, and he had been updating people on what was going on with his health for a while. So I think a lot of people have been staying up to date with what Ben was putting out there. And then when it happened, it was just, crazy. And you got to think about certain people that went to AKA and they were thinking, I'm going to do this thing to honor KA, right? Because it was the first tournament after that happened. And then that same time, another one passes, and it's just like, this is too much. So, but yeah.
Speaking for me, I was there like you guys. I was there for the banquet and everything else, and so I was there a day early. And to take a step back and bringing back these memories, The Wednesday before, I called Mark Clark. I said, Mark, I am very sick. I can't call out about the tournament, but I'm having trouble breathing. I have no energy. And he says, well, you definitely have the flu. Try to wear a mask. I couldn't find a mask. I could not find a mask. I went to my doctor's. I got one to fly to Chicago, and no one knew I was there because I stayed in a room. Came downstairs to do the banquet, which I had a hard time pronouncing anybody's name with an H. I literally could not make the H sound. So anytime
you was all Corona?
Hold on, I could be patient zero. I very well could. Before I saw somebody with an H, I would always take a drink of water to try to cover it. Mm-hmm. And I stayed in the room. I was laid up, and I remember I woke up. I think it was Friday, and I looked at my phone, and I saw your uncle's post, and I was like, just devastating. And I didn't come. I don't even think I came down but once Friday, and I didn't have the energy and went back up to the room. And I barely saw your uncle because I told him, I spoke to him like, hey, look, I'm not feeling well, but hey, I'm sorry to hear about this. What have you heard? I just heard it from here, and it was really surreal. And also from talking to Ben a lot. Ben is a dude, like you said, he's so loyal. He was so loyal to Mr. Anderson and everything. Yeah. He drove all of, the fundraising and all this other stuff. And, he was telling me a lot of things like kind of off camera about this, stuff that he did and everything. I mean, he's a student. He's a guy you want for an event like that. Even one thing that I think he actually mentioned, he was in, I forgot, Curacao for the summer, or for the winter. He invited Mrs. Anderson down with their kids to stay with them. That's a guy that's just gold, man, who does stuff like that,
Right. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Wow.
You mentioned about my uncle. The crazy thing is that Friday night he called my uncle. He had called him that night.
Yeah, that's right.
And he talked to him. He talked to Nasty that night, and Avery was getting ready to fight
open weight.
Yeah, he was getting ready to fight the winner of the open. I think it was Oscar Guzman.
Mm-hmm. That was Saturday?
No, Friday.
No.
He called him that Friday night, and whoever Avery had to fight in the final, I think it was Oscar.
Oh, Oscar. It was
Oscar. He was getting ready to fight Oscar, and he said, my uncle told him that, hey, look, I'll call you back. Avery's about to fight. And he said, oh, all right. He's about to fight for the championship or blah, 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 or whatever. And he was like, all right, I'll call you back later. And then Avery fought and everything went through. And then later on that night, he got the call or text message that night. And they were like, hey, look, Nasty passed. He just passed. So that kind of really hit my uncle that night. And the next day. So it was kind of just like, when you see somebody that you love and you see them going through it and you sitting there watching it, it was kind of surreal because he'll be in the moment cheering for Avery or Morgan or coaching it, or you know what I mean? And then when everything dies down, it comes back.
Yep.
You just 100%
you settled.
See it, him getting sad again. It's just a hard thing to go through. But yeah, so that weekend was just it
was a very somber,
another reminder that life is short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to seize the moment and really enjoy being in the present. And that, honestly, if you take anything away from 2020, in my eyes, enjoy the moment. Like, pay attention to what's going on right now, and actually
100%.
Definitely.
Every second.
Every second. All right, let's go into where we go. We can talk about the 3 or 4 tournaments that actually happened
right
for the for March
as far as big ones, yeah.
Go ahead. Somebody start.
What we have? AK,
right?
AK
we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Go for it. They on the Warrior Cup.
Yeah.
That was the first real big one of the year, right?
That was the first one. That was the first major tournament of the year. It was January 26th or something like that, somewhere around there, 25th, 24th, somewhere around there. You could tell people had been training. People were ready. People were out there ready to compete. We actually went out there as Martial Arts Center Network, and just wanted to open up, kind of promote. But we had some shows that we wanted to record and different things. Chris got out there and fought. Alex
That's
was running
right.
around there interviewing people.
Mhm.
Once again, Sport Martial Arts gave Chris and I a photo shoot.
That is
And
great.
that's how we got our logo.
Greatest
Like
logo
the
ever.
iconic
It
logos,
is.
too.
It's awesome.
So it's like, whoa.
I saw that and I said, "Oh, I hope they use it. Please let them use it." Travis looks so uncomfortable.
I was the thing about this was that was one of those ones where they were like, "Oh, we gotta get y'all a better logo or something." I was like, "All right, we can do a shoot," and then they put us in poses, right? We had us like the back-to-back pose. They had us like some other poses, right? And then I think it was like, just do something else, do another one. Then Chris just grabs me, and I'm just like, like, why are you hugging me?
Because I knew it was going to make
That's
you
it.
so
That's great.
uncomfortable.
I'm like, no, I honestly didn't want to use it. I did not want to use it. I was
It's
like,
classic. It's great.
people were like, "Are you serious? You don't like this?" I'm like, "No, I don't like this. You look at my face." But it worked. So, but yeah, once again, we started off 2021 with a collaboration with SMA. So thank y'all once again. What else? What else would you guys remember from the being there for AKAs the beginning of the year?
So the teams that were there there was a lot of them there, and it was exactly like you were just talking about, Travis. It really just felt like this is kind of the time. I think Jeff and I talked about this last week. This is the time where it's like, all right, everybody's ready. Everybody's excited about the first big one of the year because everybody actually feels like, I'm going to win.
It's my year. Here it goes.
Yeah.
When really there's like 5 guys who got a shot, not 50 guys. All right. But everybody feels like this is their time. And there is going to be someone who shocks everybody else. So you're right. Everybody looked like they were training.
Yes, it did.
It did. Oscar beat Jack.
Oscar was one of them when you were like, oh, okay.
He made it to the
right,
finals in
maybe time
open
to
weight and then got to be
reevaluate
coming in. Yeah.
And then the finals again. Yeah. So yeah, that was cool.
I think Oscar, that was a good takeaway. The boys
16, 17.
Oh goodness, yes.
That was crazy.
Yeah, Enrique Latona. I mean, I know.
No, you were talking about the forms.
Jason. Oh wait.
I'm talking about the boys' forms run. Yeah, exactly. Chris
forms.
Yeah, the forms run off was probably some of the best I've seen in a long time. So what was some of the other? I like where you were going, Travis, with Jason Latona.
And then
that 16, 17-year-old fight division.
That Friday night open weight and then Saturday division.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was
With
nuts.
Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson, Jason,
right
Alex, the other kid from K-Talk.
Oh yes,
They had a couple
very
kids.
good. I'm blanking his name as well.
Lily's little brother. Lily's brother.
Vince. Vincent really.
Vince. Yeah. So yeah, I was impressed by all of them. I was just kind of sitting there like, okay, these kids got some skills. All right, let's see how they develop. But they were doing real well. What else did you stood out from you guys? Kayla looked good.
Yeah, Kayla Mejia looked good.
Yeah.
The Kevin and Avery fights are good.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend.
You know what's I just thought about us judging, Chris. We got yanked in to judge for some random
sure
reason.
did.
We were just trying to take. Yeah, that was wild.
And then even like Cam being there but only judging, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, would you go back to 2019?
Right.
How that was the first, and it was something surreal about that moment with Cam being there because if you all remember, he wore Gerald's uniform.
Yes.
So I'm coming downstairs, running around covering rings and everything, and I turn and I look, and for a second I'm just
thought it was Gerald.
I saw him from behind, and it just froze me.
What?
I'm like, and it was like, so it was hard to actually call that fight. That at the nighttime finals, at one time when Cam won, when he left the stuff there, when he left the uniform,
2019, yeah.
I just passed the mic to my chat because I couldn't go on. Couldn't. The moment spoke for itself.
Yeah. And I was actually shocked to see him there.
Yeah, I was
shocked to see him there this year. 2020. In 2020, I was shocked to see him there when he was out there. I was just like, "Hey, what's up?" And we had this conversation, and he just came. I was like, yeah, buddy. I would love to see. Can't wait till your heel. I think it was like his heel was injured, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he hit one of the Spence boys with a spin kick and
Yeah.
ended them. Which one was it?
Was it?
No. It wasn't
wasn't
one of
the
the
Spence
Spences.
boys.
It was
Was it?
one of the,
Okay.
no.
It's
It
a
was
kid
one of
from
the other guys.
California. Yeah.
Oh,
Same team, am I right?
No. Is this kid? I think the kid is he junior all star? Is this?
No, he's a top
No.
10 USA
Top 10.
kid.
Okay, my
He's
bad.
from California. He's from Dumlow School, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was a beautiful combo. He hit it. It was like like a slide kick, then a follow up blitz, then a spin kick after that. Heel crushing the face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Y'all haven't lived until y'all caught one like that from Cam. I'm just telling you.
Well, I've lived. That's why I'm still around here.
I was gonna say I haven't got one of those
Dude,
yet,
live.
so I'm living. We good. Living my best life over here, not getting one of them. kids.
Yeah.
Not
I'll take
recommended.
that shot.
Not recommended. Trust me.
But yeah, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it because
he kind of toyed around with possibly being done.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's what it
That's
was.
right.
Yeah,
That's
19,
right.
and then that's why it was crazy to see him there at the AKAs. Like,
in that capacity, yeah.
But then maybe he's not, because he did fight Chance in VFT.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, it can't be easy for him.
No.
Going out and doing something that you used to do with your father all the time. So it can't. So I could see him having mixed emotions about it. So going out there and then
Both games.
always being with your father, and then just seeing certain things and just kind of remind you of him. So I could see it being a little torturous for him. So
Yeah, it
but
just
you
takes
still
time.
love to compete and do
Right.
this. So
It'll take time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just
absolutely.
yeah.
so
I mean,
that's why if he
And I
says
think
he
it
wants
helps
to
that
retire-
Jarrell's there now. You know,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So him saying he wants to retire, I'm like, do what you got to do, man. Like, get yourself to be, in the state. And if he does change his mind,
cool.
come back.
But he's also running the school full
Yeah.
time too. So it's like, hold on, let me figure out how to do this first before So it's a lot, man. So when anything like that happens, so for me, one of the things and it was the same thing, continuation from the Diamonds, was just watching that kid, Kyle. Man, that kid's so good. However you say his name, Kyle Da Silva.
Yeah.
Just seeing that this kid's gonna be like, watch out when he gets to be an adult, as far as informs. And I think it was the second year in a row he won the Warrior Cup.
Warrior Cup.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just interested to see how what happens from that, because we're getting to this point now, especially with this year. It's like the people that we were thinking were going to be the rookies in 2020, really now it's a whole nother year. So you're like, oh, this is my last year as a junior. Well, I kind of missed that. All right. Well, going right into adult.
Straight into
into
adults now. But we'll see how that's going to enter into 2021 whenever we open back up and things start happening again.
Right.
All right, let's go to the next one. Unless you guys are done with AKs.
That same weekend, what was there? There was California Compete was a big one. I know I was down in Texas for the WKU Pan Ams. There was another event. I'm trying to remember what. There's another event too that was a decent sized regional as well going on. But it was a big weekend for sport karate. So for me, it was like going down there in Texas. It was a small tournament, but like everybody was high level. So it was crazy, just different,
Didn't you do continuous?
Yeah, I did.
You did a lot of stuff down there.
I was supposed to do continuous, but I ended up the only person that was in my division, my weight class, wanted to do low kick. So I just kind of did low kick. I never done low kick before. So
jumping right in low kick. Okay. All right.
But yeah, so that was fun. I never felt that pain before. So yeah, that was my first division of the whole weekend. I had like eight forms to do the rest. And so I went and did a
on your leg.
After my form is my legs are just swollen from getting kicked in the leg. Yeah, it was fun. And yeah, whatever. I can make all the excuses, but it was fun. And I think that was the only division I got second in. Everything else, it was good. And
Nuts.
I think I went against, I got to go against a lot of cool people that weekend. Got to go against Rashad. Got to go against Corky again for the first time in a long time. Just different people from all over. So it was fun. And then Chris was up there. You won the 30+ grands, right? And compete.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's just stop right there real quick. But that was another thing that was interesting about 2020. I was looking forward to was the kind of like the return of the All-Stars, because in 2019 they weren't really around.
Right.
And I know 2020 they were coming out and they were coming for blood. So they were there at AKAs. They were there at compete. They went to the Irish Open.
Lightweight grands, finals, heavyweight grands. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, they're here. They're going to compete. Let's see how this goes. I was interested. I wanted to see that. I know Cam had talked about he had wanted to see. He wanted to fight Elijah. I know that. I know that Kevin and them and Jack and them wanted to reestablish, the All-Stars brand name. Chris was like, were you coach? Were you kind of coach? I don't know. I wasn't sure what was happening there. If Chris was going to be the new coach, or there was going to be Los or whoever, somebody was going to be coach somebody. But,
that was originally the game plan. That was the original game plan.
I mean,
and then you got
jump out there and fight.
Yeah. So all that was interesting, man. So I was interested in that. So when it came out to compete, and Chris jumped out there and was smacking people around in the 30-year-old division, smack people around the AKAs. I was like, all right, let's see how this rolls out. Let's see how everything comes out with this. But so compete. Chris, you were there. I guess you can. Was anybody else that compete? Mal?
No. So I got a chance to not go, which I was kind of happy for, because going to Irish Open. And one of the things I remember about that is I was waiting, and I got a chance to not go, and I got a chance to hang out with all my friends from college. We never have a coordinated schedule. Everybody got together, not knowing that was the last time we were going to see each other, still going on today for the year. So I was happy to not go, getting a chance to hang out with all my buddies from high school and college. We went and played ping pong, and that devolved into chaos as it should with 10 guys in here throwing ping pong balls and people drinking and everything else. But still,
you get that into ping pong?
Listen, it once you add alcohol to something, guys will be in the chat. Connect 4 becomes a contact 4.
He is 100% correct.
Competition alcohol.
I co-sign.
What happens?
Yeah, there you go. But no, I wasn't there, and I was waiting for the following week to travel to Ireland. After that.
Yeah, and that was crazy too, with all the different people. This is kind of the beginning. That was the beginning of this whole thing.
I was cutting people off in Italy, like, Italy, y'all can't even come over.
Y'all can't come.
But they found a way around too. They found a way around there anyway.
Right, and they did it like, if you're from this part of Italy, you can't come. And I'm like, how are they checking that? Yeah. The hot spots were just popping up in Italy, and thinking about it, because I brought my little girl.
Your passport says it.
Oh, your passport, right?
Yeah.
But I was happy that we got back and were kind of unscathed, because that's when things really started kicking off, just getting back, and people were rumoring that they're going to shut down.
Listen, they closed the airports in Ireland that following weekend. We all left Sunday and Monday. They closed the following weekend. I mean, we would have been able to get back, obviously, because we're citizens and everything, but it would have been a longer process. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We would have definitely been there for some extra time. So yeah, that was definitely crazy.
Yeah. But so if you plan on like an extended vacation or something like that,
nope.
Well,
it's being away at the compete, and then
that's how
how much clothes?
Katie was pregnant at that time, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so you'd have been screwed,
baby. I'm so sorry.
She's like, you're what?
Yeah,
right.
Better.
Go to California for a week, then head out to Ireland, and then I'm not coming back for 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, you lucky you got out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could have gotten the 2 words that mean instant death. It's fine.
No. I didn't want a death sentence, man. Don't push that on me.
But so what were those 2 tournaments like? Let's just go ahead and get into those real quick.
Compete was fun. There was good competitors. It was a smaller event as it has been for the last little while, but the competitors that were there always make up for it. Yeah, it was good. There was open weight division. But I mean, compete is kind of in the last quite a few years been like the all-star tournament. So Jack won lightweight, I won 30s. There wasn't any teams. So and then who won open? Kevin won open weight, and then
Pablo won
heavyweight.
That's right. Pablo did win heavyweight.
Yeah.
You gotta use this as a warm-up kind of for Ireland.
Kevin. He beat Kevin.
Yeah, I think they do. As a warm up, I mean, because I think it's almost always now a week before Ireland.
Has been for last quite a few years. Yeah, and we always stay and train and then get out there and go together and get everything ready to go for Ireland. It's fun.
I think both. Well, you two can tell us about Ireland because I don't know.
Man.
Well, to speak from my point of view, so we're there and it was a lot different. They had hand sanitizer galore when you can find it at that point.
Yes.
And they were saying, please, sanitize your hands, this, that, and the other. It was a good showing. Seeing a lot of the regular players, by the way, shout out to Tolley and Roman. They got married, right
through this.
Excuse me?
Tolley,
not to each other, bro. Trav.
Let me. Okay. Context is king.
I did not see that coming. I was like, wait, what?
I knew it. I knew by the look on his face. He said, "Excuse me."
Roman got married to Keisha, and Roman got married to his fiance. All right, there we go. That covers that. Because that would be a breaking story out of Ireland, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
That would have been. I was like, I missed that story.
But you had that. You had Elijah who won, and one of the things that was tough is I talked to a couple people before, and I didn't know that Elijah had made it to the finals. So I see him sitting there with his dad, and he's I can't read the body posture. I thought he lost because I didn't see it because I was running around collecting phones and doing everything else. And I kind of talked to his dad. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" He says, "Oh no, he's just he's just getting ready for his final match." I was like, "Oh, okay," because I've had some bad luck before in Ireland interviewing people and doing things like I walked away, left at least hanging. I did that 2 years in a row, doing live shots. So I wasn't going to say anything. I'm zip. And then I saw that it came down to, it was, Jack was in the pool as well. So I was like, oh, okay, I wonder how this is going to play out. So there were some people that were saying, I kind of hope that Jack wins this because Jack's always made it to the finals. And he's never won.
A lot of people who say that.
I was a rooting boy.
Yeah. So there's an unofficial willing for Jack to win. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this is going to be tough because Jack and Elijah did fight in Hawaii when he went there, and Jack beat him.
Right.
So I'm really wondering how this is going to turn out. It played out the way it did, and it was really a surreal, emotional moment to see his dad and him celebrate. And his dad, he was saying, all I can think about is that sonogram of seeing him and for him fulfilling his promise. He worked so hard to get here. And, just seeing that moment, the picture that Nick took of Elijah on his knees, just, looking up.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, you see everything in that picture. But on the other side of the coin, there's Jack on that side of thing. And it's just like, oh, man, it is the way sports play out.
Right.
But as how great or how happy people are over here, you look on the other side and it's just like, oh, man. And Chris, you're there to witness the entire thing because I came over to talk to you after that. And he's like, it is what it is. You give Jack some time to, kind of work it out and we go on.
Valerie, I got a question for you on that exact thing.
Yes.
So, because you kind of were talking about it, did it feel like that people were like being quiet about it? No one was talking about it, but everybody was kind of quietly rooting for Jack, but not really saying anything out loud. Did it feel that way?
So, yes and no, depending on who you talk to. So I've talked to some people from your common everyman to people that are involved in that tournament, right? That didn't say by name I want this guy to win. But they're like, man, I'm kind of pulling for one guy over there because you can't come out and selectively say I want this guy. That looks terrible. That looks bad.
Right.
But it's so for like you go over to talk to a parent like who do you think is I hope Jack wins it. People just tell you that's a parent or that's a competitor. They'll throw in on the side and people throw in on that side. But there are other people up there that are involved in the ecosphere of more important and they can't say, and they would kind of allude to, man, I really hope this guy kind of deserves it, but we're going to see how it plays out. So leaving them unnamed, yes, but they never named it. They alluded to it. They're like, this, that, and the other. Hey, but you can't put a stamp on it,
Right.
Cannot.
No, you can't do that.
That was a big tournament too, because somebody else fought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris fought. Chris fought. Yeah. Chris Walker fought. There you go. He fought at that tournament.
Listen, and if you follow the adventures of Chris Walker before, I've got my paperback version. This is a tournament where Chris is known to fight 50 different times.
Right.
In the Irish Open, he's in this division. He's in this division. He's in this division. He's in this
fought
division.
full contact at that tournament before.
Yeah. Listen,
full contact, point fighting forms. I've done most of the divisions there.
Listen, I have Walkers in my family of Woods. The Walkers are, I don't know if we're related to Chris and Kevin, but them Walkers they go out there and just do it, man. I that's all I can say about that. But speaking of another person that did fight, I was going to set up equipment. And I look and I see Ray's got his uniform on.
Yeah.
And I looked up like, what's going on here?
You already know what time it is. Come on.
Yeah.
Because in 2017, that was like his last year. This is
right.
Like, all right.
But don't forget, you had Robbie was injured.
He made himself T-shirts for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. Which he should have had a shot at fighting Jack in the final that year, but that's another story. That's
Chris, tell us about that.
We'll leave that right alone.
Yeah.
What?
How that evolved? But what happened so that Ray actually stepped in there and fought?
Yeah. Oh well, a ton of things. Robbie. Travis, I will drive to your house when we are done, smack you, and grab some lemon pepper pizza. Don't play with me. This is 2021. No, we're not doing that. So yeah, Robbie was hurt. We weren't sure how everybody's lineups were going. We looked over because it was a different kind of tournament, obviously, with the beginning and people not being able to come. So a lot of teams were splicing together squads and picking up different fighters. Like the Hungarians fought with the dude from Greece, and a couple other people were merging together. There were a bunch of really good teams. So we figured. We'll see how it goes. There's 6 of us. We'll put all of us. We'll put on our stuff and we'll play it out however it plays out throughout the brackets and the lineup. And we have new uniforms. We got new gear. We got, you know what I mean. So it was just kind of like, why not? You think we should? No. You think he's gonna? No. We'll see what the wife says. One of those ordeals, and it all played out real well. Nah, because
everybody's like, he's fighting. He's fighting.
She looked at us and was like,
"Let me ask you this, Chris.
Go ahead.
How many? When you were in the building, how many people were intimidated, and how many people were encouraged and wanted to fight him?
The elite, probably 5 or 6, maybe 7 wanted a chance, and everybody else was like, "Oh my God, Raymond." So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those
comparing the two. I'm not comparing the two. But it's like when Jordan came back and put on the 45. People either wanted to have a shot at him, or people crap their pants.
So you saying that Ray wasn't the same Ray? Is that what you're trying to say? Because Jordan wasn't the same 4-5 when he came back.
But eventually
then he put his 2-3 back on and then slapped everybody. So, I mean, I don't know really where you're going with that one.
The point was is just
saying he wasn't the same Ray. Is that what you're trying to say? What you trying to say, Alex?
There was a select few people who wanted to try to, take him down. But pretty much everybody else just wanted no parts of it. Is that what it felt like?
I'm gonna get y'all tied up. I'm telling you right now. Some situations.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Not comparing the two.
Haven't you compared those two before?
Yeah, I said he's not. I said raised like Kobe. He's not like Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jackson said he's like Mike.
Yeah.
All right. I agree
All
with you, Alex. That's what it is. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Right. But all right, let's go on. So let's go on from then right after that. Pew, 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 everything shuts down.
Yep.
Shut down.
Zoom
classes.
And everything I shut down for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Which is a perfect amount of time, right?
Yeah,
we're good.
2 weeks. Everything is supposed to go away in 2 weeks. Everybody to stay in the house, and everybody lost their mind. I'm still trying to understand this. If we're gonna be shut down for 2 weeks, why did everybody run and grab toilet paper?
And stockpile it. That was crazy.
I never understood. Like what? How much toilet paper do y'all actually need or use?
I need to go grocery shopping and pick up supplies in my house now. And if I didn't go for 2 weeks, just with what I have now, I'm fine.
Okay.
Right.
So I don't understand that part.
Yeah, I don't understand.
The thing is, before they announced the shutdown, I literally had just went to the grocery store, had picked up like just some groceries, regular, and I needed some toilet paper, so I grabbed some toilet paper and paper towel, and that was it. And I wasn't thinking about any of it. So, and then like the next day, everything started getting shut down. I think that's when the NBA shut down. I was like, oh shoot, this is
Didn't it NBA and MLB or NHL? It was kind of both of them in the same day. I think NBA was first.
NBA did it first that night before, and then NHL did it right that same like either late that night or that morning, the next morning. But it was like within 24 hours. Yeah, they shut down. It was it. Everything just started getting shut down at that point. So I think spring training had just began in MLB, I think. And they just kind of like, well, let's just hold off for this 2 weeks and we'll see what happens. But when the NBA and NHL did it, and because around the same, then like the NCAA shut down March Madness. No, not March Madness. They shut down the tournament games. The divisional tournament
and all the conferences.
Yeah, they shut all those down. And then they were like, well, we'll just see what happens for the March Madness one next week, and we'll see if we can figure something out. And then it just started getting shut down after shutdown after shutdown. Gene, when you started seeing this, how was you responding on all this started happening? Did you get like scared and run out and grab like toilet paper and you go to mom and dad's house and take all their hand sanitizer and all that other stuff because they weren't using it?
I'm going to plead the fifth on some of that.
Yes,
I'm going to plead the fifth on some of that.
Typical. He see somebody running, he ran too.
Yeah, that's right. Why we running?
Well, you know what, man? I had just bought toilet paper and paper towel, and I'm in the stores anyway every day for work. So I actually sat there and watched everything slowly disappear in all of the stores. So I had already, I was in one store and I saw people getting stuff, and I said, well, you know what? Since I'm already out here for work, let me just go ahead and grab some paper towel and toilet paper and some water since I'm here. And that lasted me, the whole, springtime or whatever. But it was a good thing that I did get it when I got it, because literally by the end of that week, there was nothing anywhere in any of the stores. No paper towel, toilet paper, paper plates, paper bowls, all of that stuff. All paper products were empty on all of the shelves in Kroger and Meijer stores. Now, stuff that I borrowed, I had to go over to our parents' house to borrow some gloves. So I couldn't find gloves anywhere, and mom had some gloves at the house. So I borrowed some gloves from over there. But then my job started sitting stuff.
You ain't giving it back.
I said I borrowed some gloves.
I turn them inside out.
I borrowed some gloves, man. Mom had a stockpile of masks. I don't know why. She has a stockpile of masks already. So I borrowed some masks, and I was all right. But going back to what you said, man, when the NBA shut down, that's when I figured, okay, this is for real, because that's a lot of money that's about to get lost. And before that, I just thought, okay, well, we'll shut down for a couple of weeks and then we'll get back to, back to normal. But when the NBA shut down, I said, okay, this is serious now, because there's no way they're going to want to miss out on all of that money. And then when the NHL did it also, I got a little scared then,
I didn't see, I still wasn't worried at that point. I'm a Floridian, tried and true. We don't get messed up with hurricanes or anything. When Disney World announced that they were shutting down,
Right.
I was like,
It's real. It's real.
it's really real.
That's right.
Like Disney shut down? Hold on.
Shut
What are we dealing with when Disney shuts down? Disney doesn't shut down. Disney's like McDonald's. Like, nah.
But cleaner.
and their ice cream machine works, but we're not going there.
Good shot.
Talks a lot more.
Hey, a quick informal poll. How many of you all do the glove thing? Do you put on a new pair of gloves when you go out, like and you're pumping gas or picking it? Who does? Well, we'll say before.
Before, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
When it first
before.
started, I had gloves and I was putting gloves on.
Never wore gloves.
I would go outside, I had the mask, I had the gloves.
Right.
I'm like, yo, I ain't
I
taking
always
that.
would sanitize before and after when I get in from somewhere, but I never wore gloves. I
I
never.
did the gloves things for probably the first 3 months, maybe.
Mhm.
So probably until like June. And that's when I ran out of gloves. And then I was like,
It's like, yeah.
at this point, I'm just gonna keep washing my hands and keep hand sanitizer, and I'll just stay in the house. I'm not gonna go out like that.
I was the guy who had to run back to my car because I forgot that I had to wear a mask.
Oh,
Yeah,
you one of those
same
guys?
here.
Like,
I'm one of those people too. Yeah.
I'd be walking up like,
people start getting kind of like,
yeah, like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot.
Yeah, no, yeah, literally, I did that. But see, it's kind of crazy because literally,
All the time.
maybe last week when I was driving back from Florida, I stopped off at the gas station, and after driving for 4 or 5 hours, you got to use the bathroom. You're just trying to go in there and use the bathroom, not thinking about anything else. So I got off the car, and I'm walking in, and I see this guy. He's walking back to me, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey." And I didn't think anything about it. Then I noticed other people were wearing masks. That guy wasn't wearing a mask, so I guess he looked at me as being like a comrade of.
Right.
He wasn't
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dang it, man! I should have just put on the mask." I wish I thought about it. I'm like, "Well, I'm here now. I'm not going back out. I'm literally so far in here. I'm about to just use this bathroom real quick and then run."
What
back
about the change though? Like, remember when wearing a mask and you saw someone wearing a mask? Like, oh man, that person's sick. I'm going to stay away from them. Right?
Yeah.
And now it's changed to the opposite, where it's like, if you're not, then you're the sick person that's infecting everybody. It's like it's crazy how it's changed, right? But I remember that being like, wait a minute.
Another thing I was gonna say, Jeff, I was gonna say something else about that. Have you ever worn a mask before this point? I've never worn a mask.
I don't think so, unless maybe they made me in the hospital.
Halloween.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
Power Ranger mask,
plastic mask,
Rey Mysterio mask.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah,
Alex.
that thing.
Just talking about trying to go to AKAs, I could not find a mask to wear because I knew I was sick. I had the flu and I wanted to find it and I couldn't find one. And then when I was wearing it, I felt like everybody was looking at me like, oh, that guy's sick. And, I'm trying to include myself.
You were.
I felt out of place. Now you put on your mask and you feel like you're a superhero and everything. And it's something about going into a store with a mask on and coming out with less money. This feels like I'm doing something wrong because that's not how it should work.
That's right.
But also think about how our whole mindset has changed. Whether you wear a mask or not, depending on what state you're in, that's a whole nother issue. But there was a time I was up at the 7-Eleven right up the street from my house. So I go in with my mask and I go in there and there's a guy, small 7-Eleven, and he's in an aisle and he doesn't have a mask on, and he's kind of looking at everybody who's looking like and he almost has a button like, I'm not wearing a mask. Ask me why. Right. So we're all kind of don't say anything. And as I'm waiting in line, this dude goes, and the whole store turns with him and everybody left.
Yeah.
Myself.
No.
Bye. God, I'm going to the store.
See, here's the thing. I've noticed that now that the change in people who have had corona and who know that they've had corona, they are here like, yo, I had it, I beat it, we having fun now. I'm not thinking about this the rest of the way. The other people who haven't had it diagnosed, because I think I actually had it back in January too. Beginning of the year,
we talked about that.
I had it because I was down for a week. I have not been sick like that, and I don't know, decades. And so I was like, yo, I've been sick for a whole week. This is bad. And I actually ended up flying because I was in DC, and I ended up flying back to Atlanta, and just was completely sick. But in that, I look at people who I know have had it, and they're like, look, I'm going to restaurants. I'm flying to so and so. I'm doing this. Look, y'all can have fun sitting in the house, not trying to get it. I already had it. I beat it. I'm out here. So it's just kind of like then other people who don't know if they've had it or they did,
Right.
they cautious. So I look at the people who don't have masks on. I look at them like, oh, you already had it. Because if we have 10,000 cases a day, it's a lot of people walking around who've had it. So yeah, you had it. If you walking around with no mask on, chances are you probably one of the people who've had it.
Right. Of course, you just don't know what your expiration date is. If you've had it and like, oh, I've got antibody protection. Well, how long does that last?
Exactly. Well, I mean, I guess if you keep exposing yourself to it and you keep beating it,
hey, go for it. You want to be the new patient's hero?
Yeah,
go be your second time around person.
Trav, I know people who've had it and died from it. I know people who've had it and they have damage from it and they not trying to get it again. So I haven't really seen the type of people or ran into those type of people that you're talking about. Because the people that I know who've had like the severe version of it, not the ones that I just lost my taste and my smell. I know people who've like been like really, really sick. Who I guess they kind of scared of it now because they have some type of precondition that
Mike,
that they don't want to get it again, because either they have lupus and they just feel like they just cheated death and they don't want to gamble again, or it's just it's family members or people who watch their loved ones pass away from it and they don't want to get it after watching what their family went through. So I haven't really ran into those people, Trav. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to those.
Cousin is one of them.
We're enjoying.
I don't know which cousin you're talking about.
But Floridian cousins is like that. He out here.
Okay. Now I know you're talking about. Now I know you're talking about. But that's a different. Yeah. Okay. But that's it. I don't know too many people like that. But he didn't have any. He didn't have. That's what I'm talking about. He didn't have.
No, they did.
He didn't have.
They
any
did.
type
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, but not the ones.
No, I'm talking about the people who was like bedridden and can't get up. I don't know any of them who back out here living their best life and saying I'll get it again and I'll just gamble. I don't know any of them like that. Now the ones who they had no type of.
I mean, I think some of the ones who actually were sick, not like on death's door, like just sick, like I'm sick, and they in their bed and doing everything they got to do for the week or whatever long it takes for them to recover. I think those are the ones I'm talking about, and the ones who had it and had no symptoms. Now, the people who were on like literally death's doorstep and they had to go to the hospital, yeah, no, they probably not trying to deal with that.
They're not doing nothing.
Yeah, they like,
every dash to my house, don't touch my food. Like leave it outside on the porch.
Yeah. But with that came challenges from in our martial arts world. Because let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 you are teachers. Mal, you don't teach, do you?
No, sir. I have not taught in 10 years.
Yeah, see, all right, you with me. All right. But the rest of you guys were impacted by your schools and everything like that. So how did that affect you guys going to 4? I mean, I had a feeling, but I want to say, how did you guys, when it first hit, what were your thought process of, can I survive? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because wait, Alex, you didn't shut down. Like, as far as like, because you're not necessarily teaching at a school, but you in sense.
Not my livelihood. So
yeah. So you were working throughout this. Like for me, I know I started working from home, which I kind of sit back and think that like, hey, I get to work from home now. Like, thank you, Corona. But other than that, it was just like nothing else changed for me, I guess. But Alex, you pretty much had to stay out in the streets and keep selling. And Jeff, Jeff, Gene, and Chris, y'all had to shut down for a minute as far as things go. So talk about y'all experience with that.
Y'all can go first.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it was like every week was something different. And so it just kept changing and actually going up and down on what we were allowed to do. And then it was kind of like, all right, I'm still allowed to have classes, because it took us about maybe 2 weeks to kind of start following what everyone else did. they didn't completely shut down. We kind of were doing what we're doing now. It's like we went to like, okay, we're just going to go to this many people in an area and this many people. And they just kept getting lower and lower until they finally shut everything down. So it kind of gave me a way to just get all my virtual stuff and my streaming stuff already set. And I just kind of kept doing that. And it was like, all right, well, we know how this works for our virtual. This is what we're doing now, So it kind of helped me the way that we did it. The problem with where I live was that most people could keep doing their after school there wasn't school for some of those places, but camp, right? In my state, they didn't allow me to do that. So because we were under an exemption as a martial arts school and things, and they said, you're shut down as a martial arts school, not as, whatever else, exemption of a daycare or whatever else it was. And so I had to run under those parameters instead of the others. So I wasn't allowed to do that, at least in my area. And then even when I tried to get back and to do that, I had a lot of issues with the state. And when I was trying to run my distance learning program, I had a lot of issues getting that started. So yeah, that was different. I mean, and really for me, what kept, we were talking about this the other night, that kept me going. I looked at my numbers for the year. It was that my private lesson numbers just went up the roof, and it replaced what I lost with after school, because that's really what hit me big time was after school. I was still able to run my virtual and run things. There was I didn't see a point to run camps because people were just either there's half that were super afraid or half that were kind of like, well, what do you, like just weren't sure how long. They weren't trusting of what was going to happen with either the government or the shutdowns, that they didn't want to commit to something that they weren't going to be able to finish. That's really the way it kind of is right now with it, right? And I'm sure you dealt with the same thing, Chris.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're
Jeff.
we're a little more open in Georgia.
You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
But we did though. We had the 2-week shutdown, which gave me an opportunity to bounce around ideas. You and I talked, Jeff, going back and forth. Yeah. And then, rolling around with people, watching what some people did and liking and not liking, and every week changing what you're allowed to do, when you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do 10 people. Oh, no, you can't have any people anymore. You got to go back down to nobody. Then you can have, depending on your square foot and whatever. We were allowed to have camps here.
Right.
I pulled we did doing all the online stuff and doing all your virtual, and so I pulled my my student base, and I was at about a 50-50 split, with 50% of the people saying nope and 50% of the people going, hey, when are you opening again?
Yep.
So like
pretty much, yeah.
I weighed my options, and there were a lot of people that were saying, if we can't come back in, then we can't continue because the virtual's not really doing it for us. And, I appreciate you doing it, but, so we opened back up, and that just kept it, how, like we're doing now, which is kind of like we ran our karate school anyway, keeping everything pretty clean.
Yeah.
No shoes on the mats, shoes everywhere else, to make sure there's no transfers and all that, spraying and mopping and cleaning and everything. So, it didn't seem like it was much different. The whole spraying after every single class, though, was, has been challenging.
Yeah.
To the least.
Challenging.
Yeah, but we kind of persevere through. Thank goodness things are kind of opening back up for a lot of that. But like you said, biggest problems were after schoolers and finding that source of revenue coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
But most those of us who are still here had to persevere and make it through, and that's what we do.
One more thing I'm going to say is where I'm at. We're in the country, so some of my students didn't even have internet access that would make it to where they could even watch a YouTube video. So I would put all my stuff on YouTube, and then I would do it live as well, right? And I had some that said, sorry, like I'm just gonna have to quit or pause because we can't get it out here. And it's, I have my son come up and ready for class, and we hear every 20 seconds, and it's like, so it's just, it's just different. Every area is different, you know.
Right. Don't forget, Jeff and I live in the same state. This is
right.
Complete different.
It's completely different.
Completely
From where I am to where Jeff is, and you know, I think the mindset is also different.
It is
for what they're doing. From just, I don't own a school, and I'm sorry for jumping ahead of Eugene for a quick second, but I'm looking during this entire time, which is like, only go for your essentials. You're either going to the doctor, you're going to the hospital, or you're going to the grocery store, or you're going to work if your work is still open. And I was looking at some places, like, okay, they're still open. And I know someone that runs a karate school right down the street, and they've got the squares, you know, circles and everything else. And then I looked, and there was a jiu-jitsu school going, like, how? Like, how is this? And they had masks on, and they're nose to nose and doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, all right.
Does it not transfer through sweat?
Bodily fluids. I don't know, but I guess
I can touch a doorknob and get it. I think somebody's sweat can give it to me. I'm just.
If you're comfortable doing that, you should be comfortable doing this. And also, I mean, also there are other things that are just weird. Like, I just saw something the other day where you have to fly. Like, if you got to go somewhere, you gotta fly on a plane. Everybody's 6 feet apart before checking in and going to security, and then you go sit. You go shoulder to shoulder. It's like
the plane didn't get bigger.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Ventilation definitely.
Even the middle seat open now. They were supposed to.
They were.
Not going into New York, they didn't, because I tell you what, in and out of my last experience, I was in the middle seat both times.
Wow.
Uncomfortable, unhappy.
That makes no sense to me. Yeah.
And I had we had to wear the thing the whole time, and I was claustrophobic already.
That makes sense.
No, I mean, here we
Jeff's
are.
School's got to close, but Target can be jam packed. That's madness.
So let me ask you: did y'all ever think about doing virtual classes before the pandemic happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah. I was working on my
online curriculum.
Yeah, I was working on my university at that time. Yeah, I was working on that, and go ahead.
Not a online curriculum where you record something and post it, but just a actual virtual class that you were teaching.
Yes, a hybrid. I had wanting to do something like that from before this.
Yeah.
Because you have kids all the time and do different things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would do occasionally one class a week, you know, where it was like that. But and then, you know, I was doing private lessons like that already with people from other places.
Right.
So
that's
yeah. So
for years.
For a long time. Yeah.
I always thought that was odd doing the private lessons through virtual. I just feel like it'd have been a little weird, but now it's just like
honestly, private lessons is the easiest way to do it. Running a class that way, it's a little bit harder, especially the way I do it, where I'm doing my class in person and I have people virtually
at
home at the same time. I do it just all at the same time, but I have someone running, you know, watching them, and then myself kind of leading the class, and then I have 2 other people helping the people there. So I mean, it takes a lot of hands to make it work, you know.
Yes, if you're going to be successful at it, it definitely
right, it does. And then you're also talking about freaking internet issues, man. I mean,
so Trav,
and not just
go ahead, Eugene. Yeah.
So for me, it was a little bit different because unlike Jeff and Chris, like I still have a full-time job. So teaching so I didn't have that same level of I gotta go, I gotta do something, you know. I was laid back. I took me a 2-month vacation and I chilled. I didn't think about teaching my students, you know. I knew that because they had been coming all of the time, so I knew that the break was good for both sides, right? I contacted Chris and Jeff when I saw that they were doing the virtual classes, and I talked to both of them and asked them how they were doing, what they were doing, and how they were doing it. And I talked to Ski also, and you know, all 3 of them gave me advice on what to do. Because at first I thought, you know, they said that we were going to be shut down for 2 weeks, so I thought I was going to get back to it in April. When April came, you know, we weren't going back in. Plus, also my building, also they were keeping me up to date, letting us know that we could not have class. I don't have my own physical location. I rent out space. So they were sending me messages letting us know that, we could not come back in to have classes, right? Wow. So when I did decide to do the virtual classes, I only had, out of all of the kids that I had signed up, only about 11 came back. And then in June, I was ready to just, be in person with the kids again. And I started teaching at a park. And for some reason, the summertime, I signed up 17 kids. But the thing was, the parents were tired of their kids being at home, not having any type of activity. Mm-hmm. So they were contacting me. And I was just, July and August, I just had 2 big months. And then in the fall, I had another 2 months that were really, really big. So it kind of worked out. And now I'm doing both. In the summertime, I was doing in-person classes at the park and also virtual classes. So Monday and Wednesdays were one and Tuesday and Thursdays were the other. Because you still had some parents who weren't comfortable coming to the in-person classes, even though we were outside at the park. They were still a little uncomfortable. So I still had the virtual classes for them. And now that we're back shut down again, everything is just straight virtual. And it's really the same. I have not had any issues based on our curriculum, Trav, that we teach it has not been any different than being in front of the kids in person. The only challenge I really had is teaching basic form number 1 to beginners. But other than that, every other thing that we teach, our curriculum,
does one steps work?
It's the exact same. I tell them to imagine that they have a person in front of them stepping and do the punch. They do everything the same. So you step back, do the block, do the finish, and that's it. So it's really no difference.
That part's not bad.
Is the challenge, Gene, the perfectionist in us?
Yes.
To look at them and go, no, and you can't physically adjust them. Is that where you? That's where I had it.
Only when it came
big
to
turn.
Forms.
Big turn. The big turn.
Only when it comes to forms and it's certain students. Mm-hmm. That big turn. Oh man. I stopped that. I just tell them to turn around, go in a ready position, and then they go into the normal turn. I can't do that big turn with them. No, they can't get it. They can't get it.
All over the circle.
But that's something like what Alex was just talking about, man. Because sometimes you have to touch their arm and say, pick this arm up, put it here, move this back leg, and spin this way in order to go into that opposite direction. And for certain kids, beginner kids, they have a hard time. Now, when you have kids that's purple belts and green belts and so on, you tell them, like, look, kid, it's like the same form that you've been doing. It's just like basic form number 1 through 5. You know how to do the turn, so you can still do the turn the exact same way. Now I'm teaching basic form number 6 to one of my green belts, and she's having a hard time grasping because Trav, it starts off with the high block and middle block, and she's looking like, what is all of this? I've never done a form.
I mean, technically, yes, you probably
So she's having a hard time with basic form number 6. The group of kids that were right before her, we were in person, at the park. So I was able to quickly teach them 6, but then we got shut down again, and I didn't get a chance to really help her with it. So I told her dad, like, look, she's just gonna have to sit still for a minute because we got other things we got to tighten up on anyway. Because she's a little awkward kid. She's not bad. She works hard, but she's just one of those kids that's very, very awkward. You know what I mean? So like the way she does her kicks and some of her punches. So I already knew that basic form 6 was going to be, a challenge for her. So, but other than that, it's been cool, man.
When the outside thing kind of hit, instead of like most people like, okay, I'm getting rid of virtual and going to outside classes. I did the opposite. I just used it as an extra thing. Like I would do it as a weekend thing to kind of add on, hey, you get to see us again, but it's going to be hot outside. So we're only going to do a 30-minute class,
You guys,
and
when you guys were taking classes, did you ever want to take a karate class outside?
We did.
We didn't have any choice. If my uncle said we was going to have a class outside, we had a class. It wasn't no complaining.
That's right.
You ever like, karate class is outside today? Nice.
I mean, personally, Gene, I'm looking for the challenge to see if you guys weren't shut down. Detroit classes outside in the winter because it's extreme class right off the bat.
Honestly, there have been. I don't know, man. It's been actually some parents who asked me that during the fall, And like I wanted to say, like, are you stupid? Like, you think I'm gonna be out here in the snow? Like, we're not gonna have snowsuit uniforms.
That's right.
Like,
You got white on, you blended in.
So I had to say, oh no, I don't like cold. So we're gonna be inside, and I will send you the link, for this class. But in my head, I'm like, what are you, stupid? Like,
I mean, you guys not going to set up the tent so you can be outside, inside?
No, we're not doing igloo karate. Not with me. No.
I have a student that did that. He has not left his house, and he created a tent outside and does all of his classes virtually in a tent that he built himself. And then
front door.
His family got him like a Wave Master, a hanging bag, a punch, like one of the little speed bags. He's got a whole setup now, and he does in a like a it's not like a teepee tent.
I need some pictures. I need to see how.
Yeah, man. So he does this all the time. He's got his own little thing down there, man. It's crazy.
Hey, that's the competition, Jeff. That guy's coming. He's going to steal business.
I know.
He's going to be selling his own tent and his own Wave Master and his own clothes.
That's right.
Hey, just be careful. I remember I told you.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that's a very good way of showing people's creativity.
Yes.
And because of that, people started to get creative because they wanted to compete.
Yes.
And different things started popping up. We had virtual forums tour.
Virtual tours.
Virtual forums. What's it called? What you guys got done? Virtual
tournament.
The virtual tour.
Tournaments.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the virtual tour. Yeah. Different virtual tours. SMA had the virtual tour going on. Virtual fight tour ended up happening. Pro Point happened.
Lots of seminars. A
lot of seminars. Yeah, they had a lot of different seminars that popped up. Then we got something that was interesting to me was down in Florida, Jeremy, and their combination of in-person and virtual,
right?
Which I always thought was a kind of interesting way of doing it. And now I'm confused at what's about to happen in 2021 with NASCA with their virtual tour as well as the in-person tour. I don't know who's with what and what's part of what. I'm a little confused with that.
Yeah,
probably get into that in a minute, but the virtual competitions that popped up, how did you guys, what happened? I mean, like when you first started seeing it, I was just kind of like, well, first thing as a fighter, I started thinking, how's that going to work virtually? So what am I supposed to do?
What about us? Yeah.
It's just for forms. Well, I just got to sit back and just whatever.
Right. But, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
I definitely thought it was a very innovative and a good way to keep people motivated and have something to do during this and have something to strive for.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a lot of criticism for it, just because there was a way for people to still do karate, and I didn't think that this was gonna go as long as it was. So even seeing the flaws, I kind of felt like, all right, we all see the flaws. Let's just kind of shut up about it for now. Soon this thing will be over. Maybe not soon, but eventually this thing will be over. This is getting us.
This is for now. This is for now.
Right.
It's a Band-Aid, and it's okay.
Honestly, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a combo.
Virtual tournaments. I don't think virtual tournaments are going anywhere.
Oh no! I think it's pretty cool to happen. Yeah,
I think they're staying around.
If that's the case,
but go ahead, Mal.
Then I think there needs to be like some other kind of like regulation as far as like what's your positioning, what's your Mallory, what do you say? Like, do they have to have like a certain kind of Wi-Fi connection?
So
that's definitely an issue.
Anything you can think of that could happen did. When this was first told to me from Mount Emily, like, hey, we're going to hold this virtual tournament. I'm like, we're going to do what? How are we going to do this? And the idea was explained to me, and this is how we're going to do it. All right, the first time we did it was very hard. It was super hard. It took all day. I remember I was miserable at the end of the day. And then we got organized. You had Matt Action coming through with some great software, this, that, and the other. But what we saw was, and I think they just released this product plug and everything like on our page. We had a lot of parents thank us. They had a lot of people that sent private messages, sent, like, hey, look, you guys gave us a reason to keep going. And that actually felt good to hear that. And that you guys are, we had something to do. We had something to strive for. And we did a lot for a lot of people who had never been to the tournament. They're intimidated by tournaments. They've never done a tournament. They see videos and like, there's no way I can compete. I'm not going to be good enough. So it was a good introduction, and hopefully will spill and direct towards tournaments as they, eventually when they do come back. Now, what was very interesting to see is that I didn't notice this the first time we're doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's raining there. Oh, it's sunny there. And then I kept noticing this one student. I was like, why is it dark? And I found out he was in Europe. And when we started, it was nighttime. And some people, it was midnight. And they're out there keying. And I'm expecting somebody to start throwing things from their window at them because they're out yelling at the top of their lungs. But you had the challenges. You had people who had poor, the O'Brien family. I think they competed in every single one.
I think so too. I think so too.
But I thought, so we had people with poor connections. We had people whose phones overheated. We had people whose phones ran out of power. We had every type of little brother, little sister, cat, animal. Like people in Texas, they'd have their phone out.
Right, and it's so hot. Yeah.
And it gets so hot that overheats, and and next, I'm like, all right, well, how do we score this? Can we get them back?
I didn't know that was a thing. Your phone can overheat.
Alex, how do you not know half the live outside of your world for a second. My God.
The amount of annoyance that was in his voice.
Yes, it was.
Jeff, isn't this like half your show? Like, what you're like,
yes, it is.
I'm trying to not. All right, go ahead.
There are people that have floods. Yeah, you ever heard? Like, what the heck? Yes, there are other things outside of Chicago and Minnesota.
Hilarious.
I love you, Alex.
But it was we took on the challenge. It happened. Everybody did seem to enjoy it. I guess, Travis, what you alluded to, I did see that there was some announcements for NASCAR tournaments, virtual or physical. So I'm guessing. My guess is that at a certain point, a tournament will have to declare we're going to have to go virtual because it's too late. Too late to get people to travel, too late to do everything. Because you think about it, if we were in the normal state of things right now, AKAs would be getting ready to come up. Hotels would have been booked already. All this other people,
lights,
everything else. So obviously, the pipeline is too late. On the traditional calendar, a tournament in April is still ramping up now. Even in January to see how many people are coming, how many people are registered and everything. So my guess, and I don't know, this is not official. Do not take my word that I'm speaking for anyone, but I would guess you would have to declare at a certain point, we're going to go virtual or we're going to shoot for, actually in person. So anybody that's later in the year, possible advantage to them because we don't know
where they're at and location.
Yeah, location.
Well, you guys heard it here first. It's stamp of approval that Mallory just said that they're going to have to do this. It's guaranteed now.
Listen, and if you guys know me, my stamp means nothing. Listen, whatever you're using your card on to get a free something, it's whatever. All right,
less than that.
Less than that. Thank you very much. A stamp is 55 cents.
So back in October, I was ready to plan to start looking at hotels for my tournament for this year. I was like, all right, I'm going to get back into it. And we, the limits were where I could keep it, and in a session type way, I could make it work, right? And hotels in this, right now, they're trying to find anything to get people in there, right? So the prices are down and things like that. And then right as that happened, we went from like 250 to down to 25. Yep. And so now it's kind of a whole nother kind of like, well, why even look at it right now? Let me figure it out again. So I think a lot of promoters are dealing with that. I mean, this thing just keeps changing and changing. So you could put a date out, but then,
it's something that's out of your control can change that whole thing.
Exactly.
And in a complete selfish plea, once we do get things back, Jeff, please bring your tournament back. I really enjoy going to it. I need to go to King's Dominion the next day, please. So
hilarious.
Very selfishly, saying that. So I look forward to coming back when you do get back.
Yes, sir.
In the thing. So, hey, amusement park's right across the street. How can you not want to do that?
I know.
Or you think there's going to be more invitational tournaments in the future in order to keep down
that's an interesting thing.
The amount of competitors?
I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that you've seen the emergence of 2 already. So,
right. That's what's going to be interesting about it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anybody has thought, because it's almost like 2 separate things that are colliding.
yes.
Like for the tournament to get it, you need as many to make a profit off of it, which most of the tournaments are who are running want to make a profit. They're not doing it just for the sport, so they want to make a profit off of it. And because they want to make a profit off of it, they want to get as many people in there. They're not looking at it from the standpoint of viewership or anything else.
No, we don't have major sponsors yet.
Yeah, so they're not advertising, no sponsors. So that's that would almost turn it into a pro point type of style, a virtual fight tour style, where things are set up where it's a viewership in order to get some money out of it. Otherwise, what's
the point?
Yeah,
monetarily, what's the point?
Right. And now, if somebody took it and looked at it from the standpoint of it being a long-term investment and not trying to get money right away, the way they're looking at it has to change. How much money they're putting into it, how much, and just growing the viewership. Most people aren't going to look at it that way, though, but we'll see.
I think it's a good time to do some things that they used to do in the 80s. I don't want to give ideas because now I'm thinking in my head right now, giving away free advice. Yeah, but people used to have invitationals, but people used to have junior only tournaments, underbelt only. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can do it to limit it. There was a big one in North Carolina for years, was the junior nationals or whatever, and it was a big tournament. And there's ways to do different things like that. So I think, I think get creative right now, right? Why not? Just get creative. Yeah, and I'll be quiet.
Keep those ideas.
Yes, we're going to keep our ideas to ourselves. But yes, it might not. I agree, Mike. If there's an invitation, it has to be somebody younger. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
somebody not still stuck in the style of the older guard. So, you never know.
Well, yeah.
All right. What virtual fight tour and pro point?
Yeah. I was gonna say, what about positives from the year? So that's one of the.
I think all of these the virtual tour,
all the virtual stuff.
I honestly think that USA Karate, what they did with the adding that virtual thing in there,
we didn't even get into that yet.
That was really creative.
Even when we do go back to live tournaments, at least for the forms capacity, you can have those people whose state can't travel.
Right,
they can't come out.
They can't make it.
What if they're at home at quarantine, but they got something in their garage and they can compete? You know what I mean?
So my question is this: could they? What would you charge them more to compete in person, the same or virtual?
It's the same. I'd have to ship their award to them.
Right.
And
they're saving by not having to fly.
Right. So, but I mean, we know promoters do turn down money, right? They just no, thank you. We don't need that. No, but I can see how that could be something that gets incorporated in. It might be kind of odd,
Well, I'll say this: would you charge them more because they're not coming in town and buying a hotel? If you're getting the discounts and all the other stuff, the incentives for the hotel and all that stuff, would you be charging more for the person who's virtual, like similar to what Boyce used to do with Super Grands? If you didn't stay at the tournament hotel,
you had to pay more for the division.
Right. Well, that was
I was just curious.
That's different because that's a contract thing. Yeah, that's a hotel contract thing. So that's a little different, but well, not really, because
that's what I'm saying. It's not different. Like they're not staying there.
Because for you to rent that space or have that space for that price is based on how many rooms you sell. So so you're gonna have to. I mean, it's kind of the same. Yeah. So
I'm curious. Would you have to charge those people more money?
No, I wouldn't do that, man, because you got people who.
That's bad customer service. That's
Yeah,
just
man.
not.
And
Don't
you
do
got,
that.
I mean, we still going through the pandemic. So you got people that's not working. You got karate schools that's struggling, to keep their doors
Right,
open.
but that's
man.
also
So
out of your hands. It's out of your hands if the hotel tells you this is what you have to do, right?
Right.
So the hotels, especially in one tournament situation, were being punks, and so hopefully that won't happen in the others. Hopefully they all kind of understand, But I think that's where the issue is will the hotels keep up with their customer service?
Right.
I don't know.
Travis, let me jump in there real quick. There's a comment. So there's a comment on our page, and I forgot to look over here. Ben Stewart actually chimed in. He said, tournaments will be back by next summer. And then he said, promoters will be required to include a disclaimer on travel and hotels. It's risky, but if they commit to it by spring, there's enough pent-up energy to compete. It could work. That's directly from Ben Stewart on our page. That's him chiming in on this discussion. So
he's saying basically like there's been a commitment, like you can't opt out and get your money back if you pre-register, or is he saying more so like,
well, he's saying
you're signing a waiver, and if you catch it, you can't sue us?
I think that's the disclaimer he's speaking of. That's my guess. We'll see if he because he just commented a minute ago. So let's see if he gets back.
That'd be interesting. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like they put so many waivers in front of us that we kind of look at them, but like
whatever, both sign it.
Whatever. Like, a super good lawyer could still say, hey, you still at fault for this, but it is what it is.
But that's gonna be something that would be something that's hard to prove. Like, how do you know someone didn't catch it in the hotel, or they didn't catch it on the airplane, or at the restaurant? I mean, that's gonna be something that's gonna be very hard to prove. Like, I don't even understand why that would even be in the registration.
Well, if you can prove that somebody there had it at the time that you were there and you did not have it, I mean, you can say that, like, hey, if I caught this and I'm fighting against somebody's coach who has it.
Mm-hmm.
And that coach is in direct proximity to me, or a judge has it,
and they're yellow. They're
you know what I mean? Like, you could say like, hey, this person is I got it from. Now you can't.
But I mean, the housekeeper who cleaned your hotel could have possibly had it, and you don't know because
I know that this person had it. If I know this person had it, and you're employing them, say so to speak, and you didn't kick them out your tournament, I can technically say, hey, no, look, fam, you put us in danger by having this person here. And I caught it.
That's going to be interesting the first time that comes up in court. I mean, because that's going to be kind of hard to prove.
Somebody, I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't somebody sue because they broke into somebody's house and they slipped and fell or something stupid like that, and they sued them?
Liability.
They broke into their house. I mean, you can sue for anything.
Yeah, but just because you can sue don't mean you can win. So, I don't know, man. I mean, that's going to be like, still, like I said, I just think it's going to be hard to prove.
Call Avery.
Nah, I mean, just saying.
There's a lawyer in the family.
Whether you're in the restaurant or I don't know, man, that suit stuff is. It's not what you know; it's what you can prove.
Yeah, and so I'm saying, if I could prove that person had it and I competed,
just because you can prove that they had it, don't mean that you can prove that person gave it to you. That's two different things.
That's arguable. That's arguable.
That's exactly
that's a case. You could argue that.
I mean, you can argue, but that don't mean you can win it. That's what I'm saying, because it still costs you. I mean, it still costs you to go to court to do that. Like, are you willing to gamble? I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. Like I said,
if you got a class action suit against like 5 or 10 different people come out and say the same thing, and they all compete in that person's ring,
right?
Right.
I mean, okay. So if you got, so you're gonna have to have more than one person that got it.
All right.
All right, we're getting way off track.
Yeah, we are. Ben responded. Let me read this response. First, he says, if you have live players competing with online players, there should be a $5 to $10 increase for online. That's Ben John's opinion. Yeah. He said the disclaimer is just to let the competitors know that there's a chance that the event could cancel. So get flight/hotel cancellation insurance. Yeah. It wasn't about COVID, but a COVID sign-off will be needed and required to protect the event and promoters. Decide to go anywhere, and it's in you. So he's always been entrepreneurial. He's thinking on levels that I don't. Yeah, exactly. So
he better be talking about Anthony.
You know what? That's true.
That's right.
Wasn't it Ben who called Anthony out?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
No,
was.
but no.
On the show.
Yeah. He
Tip of the hat
is
to him. I
correct.
like
100% correct.
Mhm.
Other thing we saw was the wars of I think the tech wars are starting to ramp up. If you're into tech people, I'm looking around and seeing the stuff that's happening. Like, okay, yeah, something's about to happen. I don't know what's going on. You started to see more. Uventex is starting to get into things. You got us.tv popping up. You got Matt Action. And so you just starting looking around. I'm just looking at the lay of the land, and people are getting positioned for different things. It's going to be interesting to see how this. I think 2021 is going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting as far as tech wars go inside of martial arts.
Yep.
Because Matt weren't they the ones who were like had NASCAR locked up for a little bit, and then Juventus
they were the original registration platform.
Yes.
Right, because they would come in,
Yeah.
but they had to have people actually there to do the registration, as opposed to just having the software and you just have you know what I mean, like just anybody doing it. But they had you had to fly their actual people out to your event and everything like that. I don't know what
yeah, but
layout's going to be if they can still do the same thing or not. Go ahead.
Juventex was the same way. Like you had to have someone that knew how to run the system, like for a while until everyone got used to it.
Yeah, you can train somebody, but Matt was actually having people fly them out. Like, no, you got to pay all 3 or 4 of us to come out and run your system for you, as opposed to Juventex. Like, we'll train one of your people, and then they can do it.
Right. I'm just from the beginning. It was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was a little bit different, but yeah. So now it's and I don't know what the other one was, but these
there's all kinds of
information. But the thing about this is like it's just going to be interesting because the amount of information that those platforms have. So it's a lot of information that they actually have. So I'm paying attention because like Facebook and all the other ones that getting it who have all this information. I'm like, hey, look, just understand y'all got all this information. Somebody might be happy that you got all this information, but we'll see what ends up coming out of it. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing that the emergence of 2020 because
2021.
Well, yeah, 2021, and everything started rolling out. Heck, different shows popped up.
Yeah.
We had 2 shows come on our platform. We had Fist Kicks and Flicks, and we had Raw.
Yep.
Came on our platform. And Mallory had the SMA had that him and Raymond thing pop off.
Breakdowns.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of them. Then the things that you guys have been doing with Robin Black with the MMA stuff, because let's roll into that because it's a lot of stuff that we got to do. Because they were shut down and they had to go into quarantine rules and Fight Island and everything else, and everybody had to try and figure out ways to do things. And then, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Bellator got sold. Like
so many
glory.
Yeah, you know, I know Ross is even though Ross is texting me, we're talking about his Cowboys losing. Yeah, but it's so many. He's waiting. He's patiently waiting for a fight. Now they did do a glory event last week, but it was over in Europe, so. Doesn't do him any well. In fact, a quick behind the curtain, when everything shut down right after the Irish Open, I got a call from Ross saying, hey, I got to fight in Belgium, a couple weeks from now. Why don't you come on out with me? I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm like, how am I going to get a ticket out there? Means came that I was able to go out there, and I'm looking forward to that. This is great. Get to go to Belgium, cover Ross, and then bam, everything shut down, done, over. And he's still under contract with Glory, just pretty much just sitting and waiting.
On pause.
I'm doing a permanent pause. Now I have to give a lot of credit to the UFC and then Bellator for what they did is the way they would do it. Like Chris is going to be contracted to fight Jeff. I mean, Jeff's coming in at a -500, heavily favored over Chris. They fly you both out to Vegas, where you go and you take a test, and then you're quarantined to your 48 hours.
Right.
You don't leave. They bring everything to you. They give you an expanded room. If you need to cut weight, they bring you an in-person sauna. These really funny little saunas where your head's sticking out. It's you're sitting in a
trash bag looking thing.
But it's a whole square. But that's the idea. So and every fighter gets their own one. So nobody's sharing. You get an extra room for where do you work out, but you get a room, your coach gets a room, or your other coach gets a room. You don't leave. If your test comes back clear, then you're in staging. Then you give it another test. That comes back clear. Then you get on the plane, fly to Fight Island, where you're quarantined again for 24 more hours. And again, not leaving your room, not like we're not going anywhere. No, you can't leave your room. They bring everything to you.
Yep.
Take another test. And this includes your entire camp, which is now limited, of course, because it's your coach, two coaches, and that's
Right.
it. And you take another test, and if you're clear, you're good to go. And they give you, I think, one more rapid test right the day before. And if everything's good to go, boom. Now, what they've done with that is you've seen some fighters that have been in the pipeline. Right before Derek Lewis fought Curtis Blades, Blades popped for COVID 2 days before the event begins. So because of their constant testing and retesting, they showed that we can kind of do business. We've gone through great expenditure to do this, but we can put on a live show. That's why you had the NBA go to the bubble in our fight space in Orlando and being in the
messing up the U.S. Open, messing it up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, the two things that didn't shut down.
I've been looking at this lately. I'm like, I don't know if the NBA is gonna get through this without being in a bubble. To be honest with you, because people keep popping. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if you guys gonna be able to do it. But the way you just described what the UFC and Bellator and all of them are doing, well, UFC in particular, is a great way of doing it. Like, I mean, do they have? I'm assuming they have a backup fighter for each one of them. Has to go through the same process.
You will.
A lot of them they do. They do have people on the pipeline. Just coming through, knowing a couple of guys here in Atlanta that have fought on UFC cards and stuff. They have people just in case, and they have you on a quarantine afterwards. We had a guy from here in Atlanta. He's trains with the Lima brothers. He had pink eye, and then so
he had pink eye. His name's not Pink Eye, right?
No, he had pink eye. He
That's a dope name, though.
Contracted pink eye, and so they had, but his fight, instead of getting replacement, they just waited the next show 2 weeks later. They kept quarantined and did the same process. They just did it for longer.
One, like I know with Gaethje Khabib, they had Michael Chandler on standby just in case one of these guys falls out, something happens, that he's ready to go. It's kind of hard, but also one of the things to think about. So we're in this new world. Obviously, virtual class, all this stuff is different. Unless you embed, like Israel Adesanya did, unless you embed your entire fight camp in the gym where you guys do not leave, your sparring partners are going to be different. All of a sudden, again, talking about that great fights between Jeff and Chris. Jeff's got to now prepare for Chris's jiu-jitsu game because Jeff's a striker, got that nasty inverted kick. He's going to hold a side kick up. He's going to check his watch while he's doing everything, doing the whole fight. But he's got to worry about preparing for Chris. But now he can't bring a jiu-jitsu guy in because he can't find a guy to quarantine. You take the risk of bringing somebody in and that kind of grounds fight. So do you turn the fight down or do you keep going and hope that you can keep the fight standing and not get taken into the deep waters on the ground? So, and also like maybe you had a guy that constantly pushed you. There was a great striker and he got sick. Now you don't have that asset. So things are a whole lot different. It's really, you don't know who you're going to get that day. And guys will surprise you. Maybe all of them been working on is jiu-jitsu during this entire time. And they got some surprise submissions they're going to try to pull out on you. So it's been a whole different thing. And that was one of the topics of that show is like, well, who exactly are you getting? I mean, how much has this guy had a chance? Can he push the pace? Way back before this thing started off, Jacare said he didn't have anybody to work out with. And he started using his wife's small weights that you use for like a aerobics program.
Cardio class. Yeah.
And that's what he made a workout routine for that. Guys are getting very creative.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who actually already had the home set up for the gym, so I was happy about that.
Instagram showed me.
Yeah.
There's Travis pushing weight again.
Yeah, I was happy, so I was like, oh yeah, all right, I'm good. I don't have to go to the gym anyway, so I'm good. I can stay in shape that way. But that was fun. Ben just chimed in and wrote a novel. He said most will use their clubs to compete with flooring they've trained on their whole lives. I know I'd love to fight on my club floor than a slippery carpet or dirty mats at a tournament. Those dirty mats.
Dirty mats.
If judging is fair, the advantage is online. Stay home, pay more, and in-person events will grow. Don't want to compete at Diamonds, no problem doing online only tournament. I kind of agree that if you are used to that mat and you can compete there as opposed to those dirty, slippery mats at tournaments.
Those brand new mats.
Yeah. I would 100% love to do
that. There's a lot of comments in the comments back and forth. So,
I'm looking at like Mike, Ben, both
yeah.
Bens and Mike Bates, all of them are chiming in. It's a lot.
The only two things that didn't shut down were pro wrestling and MMA. Like, and they were as close as you could get in close quarters as you could get. So it was funny to me how that happened. But those two things will never stop.
I mean, I give all of those companies credit, and especially for Bellator. So the advantage that Bellator has, everything is going to be at the Mohegan Sun. So they've got this whole thing set up. The UFC had the UFC Apex in Vegas, and then they had Fight Island. Right. And you kind of got to give credit to those guys, whoever they have, their thinkers like, where can Americans travel to? Okay, we can go over. We go over here, and then they built everything out.
Yes, they did.
They came up with protocols and everything, and they got it done. If you think about it, they did 25, 26 shows every weekend from the start of the summer, I think it was.
Yes.
And I noticed last week when I didn't have anything to watch, it was like, you sitting at home like, y'all got any more of them UFC shows? Because you're used to it every Saturday night,
Why did they get Fight Island as opposed to just doing everything in Vegas?
Because Vegas shut down as well.
Yeah. And also the Apex, the UFC ring and the Apex is what they call the smaller octagon. So it may not affect most people, but Stipe and DC fought in that. So two big guys, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The full-size UFC ring is in Fight Island.
30
so,
foot.
Right.
30 foot, right. And that makes a huge difference, especially if you're trying to get away from somebody and backpedaling and everything else. And you find out, like you would notice a lot of fighters, they step in that drain. There's a little drain that runs around the edge of the cage, and they stepped into it, not realizing they're mentally thinking, I have a few more feet to back up. Like you're fighting in your dojo, you pass the pole that's holding up the center. Every karate studio's got this well-padded pole with a bunch of tape written around it and everything. And you have another 4 foot to the mirror. Don't break my mirrors.
Right.
Yes.
And all of a sudden somebody moved the wall up 2 feet and you're bumping into it. So it is two different.
And there was a couple of other smaller groups that had fights there as well, right? Because that's where Dean had his last fight that got him recognized to get into this.
They have the Contender Series. They have like Invicta shows are there.
Right. But this wasn't the company he worked with wasn't involved with UFC at all.
It's under the umbrella. LFA, they're all on UFC Pass.
You're right. I can't remember the name of the place where Dean fought.
Cage Warriors. I'm trying to remember it.
I'll think of it. But shout out to Dean. He
getting his UFC contract.
Getting his UFC. So well done to him. He set a goal. He said, I'm going to be in the UFC. And he did it. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if you all heard that his opponent has pulled out. Dean will not be fighting in January. There's not been a reason why his opponent, but Dean says it's being rescheduled for March. And he was on Instagram last night. He says it's just opportunity to get 8 weeks better. So he's got a great attitude about it. Congratulations on the birth of his son. It was kind of cool. He got the contract, and his son was born the same day. Awesome. And Dean told me he'd been having a rough year. He'd been having a pretty bad year. Everybody's been under this cloud of kind of depression and everything else. Yeah. It's been different. It's been you can't go out and do what you normally do.
Right.
A lot of people are disappointed, I think, because there haven't been any movies releases.
Yeah.
We didn't get Black Widow. We didn't.
Nope.
We didn't. Well, we got Wonder Woman. But,
Wonder Woman was released streaming.
Yeah, we got Wonder Woman. What was the other Marvel movie? Eternals.
Eternals
was supposed to come out in December. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a lot of movies that I still want to see. Tenet. I don't know if I want to pay $20
to watch Tenet. Come out forever, and they hemmed and hawed and everything else, and
yeah,
yeah, that's one of those movies you got to pay attention to because I tried. Yeah, I tried to watch it and I stopped because I was like half watching it and doing other stuff. And I was like, wait, what's going on? So it's one of those movies. It's like the Matrix. Like when the first time you saw the Matrix,
Yeah.
like, if you missed,
and
you're not paying
Inception,
attention.
and that's one of the things I want. That's one of the ones I would love to have seen in the theater because the visual effects from it probably was dope, and the storyline was probably intricate, and like that's one of the ones I would have really wanted to see. Now I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to watch it at home, but I don't know yet if I want to. I'm gonna pay the $20, but then again, if I go to see the movie in the theater, I'm probably paying more than $20. So
Yeah.
Of course.
I probably just end up buying the doggone thing anyway. But yeah, I was disappointed about that.
Not even TV, Ben. It's
streaming. Yeah.
Oh, streaming.
I mean,
but at least Cobra Kai was supposed to come out early in the year. We finally got it this weekend.
We got it. Yeah.
We finally got it in 2021, but I was disappointed. I wanted to see it last year.
But that wasn't a COVID. That wasn't a COVID issue though. That was a issue with them.
But it was supposed to release it in like August though, right?
Yes.
It was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out earlier, like in the springtime. But YouTube, that was a YouTube issue. Yeah, YouTube wasn't going to renew it. That had nothing to do with COVID.
Why they didn't come out originally? Because we have to wait on a whole nother. They haven't started filming season 4 yet, right?
They're going to start this month.
Right, so we probably won't. If we're lucky, we get it this year.
But YouTube,
man, we have a connection in there, man. Come on.
I mean,
you got the inside.
Got a couple of connections there.
Yeah.
So YouTube wanted to be like Sling TV, but they found out that they cannot do what Sling TV does. So that's why they originally had Cobra Kai on YouTube. Yeah. So they decided to switch their platform to do something else. So that's why Cobra Kai had to find another home. And then that's when they ended up finding Netflix. But that had nothing to do with COVID, you know, their issue, you know, but now it's out, and who knows if it's going to come out in September or if it's going to come out next year. I just read an article. They finished doing all of the writing. So the writing is done. The writing's been done since October. And I just read an article that they're going to start shooting in January. So hopefully it'll be, shot soon. And after that, it's all about putting it together.
Who all watched it in one day? I know.
I have not watched the episode yet.
I have not watched it yet. You haven't watched any of it?
I'm saving. I'm gonna get all the three.
Bag them all out at once. Yeah. I don't want to piece it together.
No, I got.
Did you watch it yet?
Huh? Who'd you ask? Chris.
No, I watched the first episode, realized I wasn't going to be able to watch it for the rest of the day, and just I need time to sit down or a night where my wife and kids go to bed early.
I don't understand how you two are able to avoid spoilers. That is the only reason why now I have.
Listen, my head movement.
I don't see how you can do it.
Man, my block button is strong. Nope.
No, that was with me with the last episode of The Mandalorian. For some reason, I wasn't able to watch it like I normally do on Friday, and I was like, "Oh God!" Like I just kept. It was awful, man. It was awful.
I got up at 3 a.m. so I didn't have to worry about that.
See, that's smart. The funny thing is, I normally would have to
work anyway.
I watch it at Friday night. It's usually something I'm doing like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And the first thing I saw a tweet from the guy that runs Emergency Awesome. He says, "Stop whatever you're doing, watch The Mandalorian." So I'm getting on, starting to work, and Ben Francis said, "Hey, watch The Mandalorian now." I was like, "That's odd." And then other people were like, "Watch it now, watch it now." So I took my lunch break that day and actually watched it, and that's how I avoided spoilers for that. I'm like,
watch it because there's just gonna be a lot of people talking about this.
There's a message coming in that says, "Hey, you got to watch this before somebody spoils you and tells you." I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, I usually hit my chat and be like, "Yo, did anybody watch it?" And that's all I say. Like, "Yo, did anybody watch it?" And if they say yes, I'm like, "All right." I won't say anything. I just want to keep track of who watched it, so before I can actually have this conversation with somebody.
I think that's the worst part. It's like when you're so excited about it, you want to tell someone else and talk about it, and then you're like, "All right, that's when. All right, let's create a small little group like we did yesterday, right?" And we're like, "All right, let's talk about it."
I do miss it about going to the movies that Thursday night before the movie comes out.
Oh yeah, you can see it right
before. I'm going there and see it, and then like come back like, "Yeah, I'm going in right now."
Mm-hmm. Hey, also another thing, shout out to Caitlin DeShell for being in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, she was in.
That works.
She did several different ones in that.
I was gonna say she's
several episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see people that like you guys. You have an inside scoop for for Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I remember when he
Plus,
came
it's
back
right here.
after they shot him. He showed us some pictures, and we Chris, remember that came back that one Sunday?
He was here today. We were talking about
Yeah.
it, showing me stuff.
Oh yeah,
Justin,
yeah.
hey, Chris, and
But I only
Mark.
never mind. Yes, sir. You haven't watched the shit anyway, so I can't even say anything.
Yeah,
All
no.
right, let's move on before I spoil something for y'all.
Well, that's been one of the cool things about this pandemic for me, man. Is it kind of slowed life down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I started Fist Kicks and Flicks. Like literally, this is one of the few things I've been a part of a lot of different productions, right? And this is the one thing that I did not put any thought into Fist Kicks and Flicks. Like when I text Travis and Mike, I had just literally woke up from sleep. And I text Travis and Mike, said, let's do a podcast. I'm going to do Fist Kicks and Flicks. And it's going to be, we just watch karate movies and talk about it. That's it. I normally take months and research stuff and look stuff up and trying to figure stuff out. With this one, I didn't. I text Travis and Mike, and then Mike went that day that I texted him. He went and got a microphone, and we started recording on that Tuesday without any type of preparations or anything.
I remember because, maybe the year before that, I said I wanted you and Mike to do a pod, and I was like, "Yo, I don't know what y'all gonna do."
Yeah,
you wanted us to do a podcast.
You wanted us to do the MMA one for your network. You wanted to,
yeah.
And I was like, I like MMA, but I can't watch the UFC. Oh, I almost said the wrong thing. Oh, I can't watch the UFC every single weekend. Like it's gonna drive me crazy. I can't do it. I'm not one of those people.
You used to.
I used to when the UFC used to build stars, and at this point in time, I don't think they are still building stars the way they did before. It's a lot of they just constantly just throwing fights out there, fight after fight after fight, and they don't feel as special as they used to.
They're not. It's not a story no more.
Yeah, man, it's not.
It becomes rivalries, which is cool, but I got you.
All right then.
Let me ask you one thing. What has happened during the pandemic that you think is here to stay? And I'll give an example. I personally love ordering something from either a restaurant or like a Best Buy, and then driving by and having them throw it in my car, and I don't even have to go in, like curbside pickup. I think that is here to stay.
That and the emergence of like DoorDashes and Uber Eats and stuff like that. Yeah, I think delivery and curbside pickup is here. I don't think that's going away at all.
That's not.
That door is open. I will say this, and Travis, you and I were kind of talking about this. If from a business point of view, if I win this, $10 million contract, I'm like, man, I got to staff 100 people. Now I got to find a building. I got to find this equipment, or I could staff 25 and let those other 75 work from home and recoup that money and still deliver what we need to deliver without, I think that's definitely here to stay.
Yeah, I think
I was going to say that was the biggest
thing. Love is that I work from home. That is number one on my list. Number two, me getting promoted to being a director. So that was number two thing. So I mean, those things, and I'll say that's staying. Excuse me. Those two things, I think the emergence of work from home, which is a scary thing from the standpoint of people who are all the office buildings and office space.
Yeah.
That has been built and cultivated and gone out there. So now it's going to be interesting in seeing how people will be able to still,
what?
Yeah, like what's going to happen with these buildings? Because sooner or later, if people aren't renting out these rooms, these offices, those buildings are going to shut down. If those buildings shut down, now you just got an abandoned building, and that's not good.
Yeah, I'm trying to build this area right now. I know that's super hard right now because it's like
how that plays out. Yeah. Like, what happens at that point? Because if everything is virtual at this point. Like we've already moved pretty much all the stuff to the cloud, so a lot of the stuff is out there on in the cloud, different cloud services and stuff like that. So I'm looking at that from the standpoint of business has been impacted in such a way that I wonder how many more streaming services are going to pop up that are going to be good.
Right.
Like, 'cause Zoom was just in a position where they just kind of fell into it. Like they just were lucky, right? Because they that was their motto, and because there were other streaming services, but
they were probably the best anyway at that point. Anyway, it's just the average person didn't know.
It was the most cost-effective, the best cost-effective version of that was available.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you have people jumping in. Microsoft has Teams. You have all this other stuff that just now this is a new gold rush in a sense that to cultivate a platform that any and everyone can use. It has to be mobile compliant. You have to be able to take if you can't be on your computer, take the virtual on your phone.
Being able to stream to different platforms like StreamYard here.
Yeah. It's a good thing that it's a good thing we have 5G, and the 5G did all this bad stuff to us.
But don't you know that 5G gave us Corona?
Oh, that's what it was.
And that's what this conspiracy was.
I mean,
now the full circle. There it is. But one other thing that these little, not having people in buildings affects. Remember, there's a place where you go pick up your coffee or your bagel, and it's located in that building, and you're buying lunch. And don't think that you have major platforms set up to get everyone in. You have your subways, you have your bus routes, you have all that stuff that now don't have people going in. Right? And those are established already. They're there.
The idea was it like you get here because of the lunch rush. And all the 100%, for lunch and breakfast, and that's your core. You don't even care about dinner. You looking lunch rush. 5 o'clock, you shutting down, and you going home.
Those places don't even open on the weekend. They're like,
not even open on the weekend.
We Monday through Friday. That's it.
Monday through Friday until like some places shut down at 4 o'clock, and that's it. Like, they're out of there.
Yeah, you ever work late and you go downstairs try to get set?
Yeah, you go downstairs.
They close at 4,
man. Jeez, all right.
I mean, what this pandemic should have taught people is, you gotta. You can't be comfortable. You got to always be constantly looking for the future, looking toward the future, and be able to change on the dime. I mean, you just can't be complacent with where you are. I mean, I'm quite sure that people back in the day, they would have loved for the horse and buggy to stick around, but the automobile came. They couldn't keep on making a horse and buggy. Okay, so you have to conform to something else, and it's going to be the same thing going forward.
Well,
you mean you have to evolve?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think the other thing I think a mentality has been formed in this generation, where like I don't know if it's the baby boomers or if the generation before that who went through the depression, and those guys and a lot of them didn't trust banks because they went through that part where the bank fell down. They're like, no, I don't trust banks. I don't do this.
It's a great generation.
Yeah. What'd you say?
It's a great generation.
The great generation.
Before the boomers.
Yeah, before the boomers. Like I think this next generation we're going to have like some kind of fallout from it where we're not. I don't know. Like maybe, hopefully, people won't live above their means or live to the edge of credit and debt and everything, and people start saving more money because hey, look, at any point a pandemic can come down and shut everything down, and your kids will be looking at you like, yeah, all right. But you didn't live through it. I lived through this. I saw it happen. Like this is nuts. Yeah, it happened then. But I think some people are going to have some kind of, especially when it comes to businesses. When you open up a business, that you're not taking such a big amount of money out to get everything the flat screens and all of this and like, hey, let me just be more cost effective. Yeah. So if a shutdown happens, I can live. Within at this particular juncture, so that's going to be interesting. I think businesses out of everything are going to be affected the most.
Big time.
Then I guess regular people.
Chris, I don't know if you had this conversation, but I had it with my youngest. I said, I know you're looking to me to ask, like, well, how long is this going to last? What it's like? I said, listen, I'm going through this the first time with you. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. Your school has basically her classroom is right there, next room over. And I wake her up for class and I make sure she does her work and I talk to all the teachers and everything else. But I had to tell her, I was like, I'm being honest with you. I've never been through anything like this. Grandma's never been through anything like this. So we're making this up as we go along. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. Ben's exactly right about that.
Evolve or die.
No, absolutely, Mal. It's one of those conversations that, buddy, we're working through this together. This is how we're gonna get through this. This is what we're gonna do on our day. I think a lot of people either they have learned it or they are learning that schedule and being regimented and finding things to supplement what used to be here, and here. You know, it's just kind of like whatever. Now you're running like a chicken with your head cut off. But when you put something in those places on those time slots, we all tend to succeed a little bit more with that.
You know who I feel bad for? Children.
Yes.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know why?
They're trying to learn.
What do you say?
He said
No more snow days. Because once a snow day hits,
No,
they-
that's not true.
like, no, you gotta go back.
That's not true. That's not
We
true.
had 2 snow days last week. I mean,
Yeah, because of
yes.
weather.
right.
It's
we
shutting
had
down
2
internet.
snow days.
They
Power
are really
lines
doing
going
that. Yes.
down. We had it here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. When that last hurricane hit us, Zeta or whatever.
Right. Newsflash: Loudoun County has snow days built into their schedule,
Yeah.
and they said, "I got the." She saw me get the text, and she says, "I said, you know what that means?" She said, "I get to stay up late." I said, "No." I said, "That means you don't have school tomorrow." They had 2 days they were out. Obviously, I was still working. You know, there was no shutdown for anything else like that for me, but she got 2 days off.
Yeah.
So they still that's interesting.
Yes.
Those teachers in there, they gonna find a way to get those days off. That's
Well,
hilarious. But
yeah.
it's built into the school year at the beginning of the year anyway.
Right. Right.
They get certain amount of days allocated.
So they don't have to
them
bring
anyway.
them back anymore like they used to. Like you used to have to make up those days at the end of the year.
They
Well, if you
should
go
not be
over-
doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they get like
If
5
you
or 6
go
days or
over,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you go over your allotted amount of days, then you have to, like there was a blizzard or something. Even in Florida, when we had hurricane days, we had the same kind of thing. Power out because there was a bad storm, and schools, 2/3 of the schools in your county were out of power. You had to take a couple of days off, but they built those in there. I think we had like 5 or 7 days where
I don't feel bad for you kids anymore anyway.
Right. Look
y'all,
at well,
y'all get
your own
days
opinion.
off still.
I think it's
Right, and
helped us.
they at home.
Yeah, it's helped us as martial arts school owners some because we can add value to. Guess what? If there is something going on or snow day where we can still have classes, and guess what?
Yeah.
You're not missing those classes, and they're just hey, you don't feel very well to go out, but you're okay to move around at home. You just want to be safe.
right.
All right, you can do it at home.
Here's your option.
Here's your option.
Yep.
Hey, it's flooding or the roads are kind of bad where I'm at. Here's your choice. Like it makes it where it adds value to our product now. If you do it that way, I know some schools that just want to get away from virtual completely. No, you got to blend it in there. It's got to be a combo of it. Use it to your benefit. Now don't use it as your crutch. You know what I mean? Either because I think we can get people back in. But a good friend of mine and Mallory as well, he shut down his actual in-person location, talking about Ibby, and runs it all from home and just does online now.
Yes.
And so he had, now me, I can't do that. I have a big lease, 5-year lease. They are not letting me out of that. So that would be great. Chris, same way. Both of us moved into new locations over this past year. They're big. When we first, and I know both of us were like, crap, we have this big location that costs more and I can't use it. But now it actually helped because we had the space to do all the distancing and everything else. So in the long run, there's always some things that you're scared about first, but they always help you out. So, I don't know. I mean, but I just think that's right. You just got to keep evolving and find the positives in things and find new ways to make it work. So.
And that's something,
Right.
you know what, Jeff? That's funny you say that too, because I've been debating with myself because, the summer's going to come around again in a few months. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go back into the building or go back to the park classes. What rent or do I not want to pay rent,
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you have 30 students and charging whatever you want to charge with no overhead, that's pretty good. Really good, actually, when you think about it, as far as, especially if it's a secondary job,
Right.
So, I mean, I think that would be good.
Yeah. The only overhead I got is really the Zoom, the price of I'm paying for Zoom. That's it.
What, like $15 a month, $20 a month, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. So, and I mean,
But like
some
we were saying
people
earlier, though,
uniforms.
there are certain things. But like we were saying earlier, there are certain things that I want to do with the kids that need to be done in person. You know, like I said, I'm starting to get some certain kids that are starting to get advanced now. So I need to do more self-defense type drills with them that I need.
Right.
I'm going to really need to be hands-on with.
So you put on like a monthly seminar outdoors.
Yep.
Once a month, or a big event outdoors once a month, to do it. So there's always things to keep doing that, man, to keep growing. I know for me during this time, it's helped me as an instructor because it helped me learn how to project more through the camera, which actually helped me do better in classes too. It's like, you got to be a motivator because it's kind of boring just in there by yourself. Right. So you got to bring that energy that would normally have in class on into their classroom. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is for me. And that's something I've gotten a lot of feedback on. Is a lot of the seminars I've done was that I've been real exciting and motivating and pointing each person out, and I think people have gotten real creative with the way they do interactive drills and stuff. I've done some classes with Jack, and he's had, where some of the different people have done things together. So, I mean, there's always ways for you to evolve. And if you just look at it as that and not of, oh God, another change. Oh man, well, I want to do it this way.
It is a mindset.
You got to keep growing. I can't say, well, oh, it's not the same, then you just devalue your product anyway. If you weren't that good of an instructor anyway before this, then you weren't worth it to begin with. So sorry, here we go.
That's fine. All right. On that note, we over 2 hours. Let's get the heck out of here.
I know, right?
Holy moly.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about real quick? Anything? We'll be looking forward for 2021.
We're kicking it off pretty much with a bang. I mean, we got Pro Point 3. We got Virtual Fight Tour 5, which is the lottery, the draft. And
the draft, which is happening next week on CTE, next Monday. That's happening live next Monday. 8:30. So make sure you guys submit your videos for submission to Virtual Fight Tour. If you want to get drafted by Jody or my uncle Richard Plowden. We're doing that except until Saturday, the 9th, I think that is.
Yes.
It's 9th.
Extended it out. Yeah, they
extended it out to the 9th. So make sure you get those videos in and request to be a part of it.
Message us who you would like to see interviewed on Inside Scoop. We're gonna try to stick with the every other week thing unless we need to do more or less. Who knows? But
what's the first virtual tour that we got coming up, Mallory?
Yeah.
It has not been announced yet.
Okay.
There's been so in a sport that doesn't have any off season, there's technically a little bit of off season. I know it will be coming up. Check our page for the announcement for when we actually have it. I know we have our group that's brainstorming right now. I know that Nick has commented on there. I know those guys are brainstorming and trying to get some ideas to get things going on. I know we'll have Rob and I will have as soon as Bellator kicks back off, we'll be back on here with that. And he and I have already been talking about some guests he want to have. So if you didn't see the last show, we had Chuck Liddell for 4 hours, which was crazy.
That's awesome.
Jeez.
That was
Bananas.
wonderful. We had Joaquin Buckley who came on, who possibly has the knockout of the year.
Spin kick, the spin kick guy for Travis.
Thank you for
I was
that.
gonna give him a little bit more. We had Jens Pulver, first lightweight champion of the UFC, who was streaming himself and jumped on our stream for a couple minutes to talk about that. That's
cool.
What things to be thankful of. I'm thankful for that. That was great.
What is nickname? Lil Evil.
Lil Evil. It's called Lil Evil.
Evil.
That was one of my favorite Ultimate Fighter seasons. Was him and
BJ Penn.
Oh,
if you want to be a Jens Pulver team, raise your hand.
Yeah.
They were like, all right, bye.
If you don't know, he actually does. He's on Twitch. He does great breakdowns of old school Pride and I think UFC stuff. I mean, in detail. I just discovered it. I didn't know about it. It's a good watch. It's a good watch. Jens Pulver on Twitch, and you got all this great content coming up from Main Group. You guys are steadily doing. I did a binge. Well, I didn't watch Cobra Kai. I did a binge catching up on you guys on the podcast. These 3 days. Seriously, I'm not lying. No lie. No plug for the group. I had to catch up. You know, I was going through the real heavy one that y'all did about topics not to talk about. And then, of course, we got all through Nate Robinson, this, that, and the other. And I hope we don't have other fights like that to look forward to with somebody that just jumps in the ring thinking they can box.
No.
And giving oxygen to this idiot over here, you know. So
yeah.
But I think we will get more of those.
Yes.
Probably.
I think so.
Gene, what y'all got going on? Fist Kicks and Flicks coming up.
You know what, man? I don't really know. I really don't know.
Karate Kid Volume 3 here soon.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I got to talk to Mike. You know, because Mike had a lot going on at the end of the year. And evidently, I had some technical issues that I wasn't aware of. Some technology issues. And I don't know, man. I just want us to keep on doing the podcast, having fun, watching these movies. I've been thinking about how I'm going to make it a lot shorter than what we did before. Trying to smash a whole 2-hour movie into 30 minutes. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, but we're going to have fun with it, So,
Jeff, who do y'all have coming up this week? Do y'all have somebody come this week?
No, not this week. We're going to do the week after. So we're getting that set up, and we have lots of different things that are on the horizon. So I'm excited about it. I want to get more into like the coaching student type thing, like we did with Tony and Kevin, which was fun. Get some of that. We're going to stick with our school owner highlight. So I'm looking forward to that. That was like we did with Josh, but different people, and we're going to do that once a month as well. So
I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shows off the top of my head that we're going to be launching in the next 2 months.
New shows?
Yeah, we got a lot of content that's about to come out.
Yes, lots of content.
I'll say content. I won't say they are technically
segments.
So,
they're technically segments.
Technically there'll be little short clips and videos pre-recorded, videos edited, and a lot of different things coming out in the next 2 months that we got to shoot. Chris, I'll be talking to you about that soon because I got to go over there and shoot some stuff with you. But each show has almost like a spin-off show. Let's put it that way. So we'll be seeing a lot of content that'll be coming out of here soon and on the Martial Arts in the network. So you guys look for that.
Like the Disney martial arts. I like this.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that's coming out in the next 2 months.
Again, you got to evolve.
That's right.
Yeah, like we said, evolve. And it's something that I was working on before I even got on this call that even the rest of the team doesn't even know that I'm working on, that I'm shooting to come out by June. And if I once this comes out in June, I'm just letting you know, people, it's just gonna be everybody gonna be looking like, oh my God, yes, this is happening. Man. And then next year something else big is coming too. So we work.
You gotta wear an eye patch when you do this. You gotta embrace the whole direction.
You gotta have a hairless cat.
Yes. Who knows what you got up your sleeve? You prepare for any situation.
I got a lot, man. I got a lot. A lot of collaborations going on. So
well done.
All right. This is fun.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Of course. Like I hope this that. What?
I think the mindset. Not that guy. No.
Go ahead, Mal.
Go ahead, Mallory.
That was the echo.
There we go. Bye 2020.
Sayonara. Peace be with you. Adios.
Amen.
Yes.
Cheerio. So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. 2020, let me say it clear.
We'll see y'all. Hope everybody has a great
2020.
Goodbye, 2020. Peace, people.
Goodbye.